15 months or so.
You came and saved me from the precious moment.
In weather only God appreciates, the London Blossom Garden was formally opened. Set in the Olympic Park, the opening ceremony brought together all those involved in the planning and design of the park and some of the key workers it hopes to honour.
I've seen people have such a terrible traumatic times, terrible, but the garden and the nature space has helped them come through. A green space is a reflection of change.
The London Blossom Garden features 33 trees to represent each London borough, a lasting living memorial to the impact of COVID on the capital, the 19,000 Londoners who've died and those who've worked so hard in the toughest of years.
It was very challenging, still very challenging, and I would recommend it to our clients, to myself and to loved ones to come and relax here anytime, any day.
The pandemic began during last year's blossom season. This year's may have disappeared, but it's reflected in the park's design, even the concrete in the paths and benches of reclaimed timber.
It actually looks like blossom petals have fallen onto the concrete and bring this element the whole year round for people to sort of experience, and not just during the blossom season.
Davis White, the landscape architects, they likened it to cupping hands. The shape of the site is very much like this, and you can come here, and because of the surrounding trees around the site, you can actually really escape London.
The Mayor sounded an optimistic tone at today's opening, but he wants this garden to be a place for reflection, the first of several blossom gardens in partnership with the National Trust.
What we want this to be is a place for tranquility, for space, to meet people and just to be part of nature. That's what we want it to be, and I think when these trees really start to get going, it's going to be a stunning place.
A perfect place to watch the seasons change as happier times hopefully come. Well, Safia and Barbara know only too well the impact of COVID-19. They lost their father and husband, Zahari, earlier this year. There are so many people that have been through so much trauma and so much difficulty in the last year. Do you feel like London is looking ahead rather than looking backwards to those losses? And what do you want to remember about your father, your husband?
Yeah, I mean, I think London is looking ahead, as they should, and you know, everyone wants to kind of move on as much as we possibly can from this really traumatic and difficult year. No one wants that more than we do, but I think it's also important that we take a bit of pause to think about what's happened and the consequences of, you know, meeting up again with the little knowledge that we have about COVID still.
Tell us about your dad. Your husband.
It's significant that 33 trees, and I was actually with him for 33 years in total, and that's half of my life, and it was the better half. He was witty, kind, very intelligent, extremely focused in things he wanted to do, and
had a huge heart, and he really cared about helping other people, and he dedicated nearly 40 years of his life to the NHS. He was actually Malaysian, and he came to the UK, worked as a clinical psychotherapist and psychologist, and he also helped refugees and torture victims in his spare time. So it's hard to distill someone into a couple of lines, but he was so giving.
And caring. Yeah, I mean, we're going to miss him forever. But he also set us up as a strong, united family. And that's how we're going to go forward.
So knowing what you are going through, being in a place like this, how important is it to have the space, the time for reflection?
Incredibly important, and it's beautiful that this has been set up, you know, having these spaces that we can come to remember not just Dad, obviously for us, but all of the people that have died, and you know, the remembrance wall that the bereaved families for justice have put together as well is such a beautiful testament, and different institutions have marked the deaths in different ways. My brother went to an Arsenal game yesterday, and they actually read out a name of all the supporters and fans that have died of COVID, and my dad's name was included, and it was a surprise for us, but it's really amazing to have those moments.
So what do you need going forwards then? What does London need, do you think?
Well, I think we need spaces like this where we know people can come and nobody will make a comment if they break down or if they sit here for a long time, but perhaps they could actually put a hand on their shoulder and offer them some help.
Thank you very much indeed for talking to us this evening. Well, we know that grieving's just been so incredibly hard for a lot of people in the last 15 months or so. Lots of people haven't been able to go to funerals that they've wanted to attend, to even say goodbye to loved ones. Well, there is one vicar in North London, in Stamford Hill, who's been trying to help people deal with their grief and how to express it. He's done that by setting up a special drumming group. Megan Owen can explain more.
With each drum beat, a shared moment of grief.
We remember. We remember. We remember.
Inspired by a Kurdish form of lament, this local drumming group in Stamford Hill was set up to remember those who died over the pandemic, after many were unable to attend funerals. And the man behind it? The local vicar.
There's deep grief in our community. Lots and lots of people that we know personally have died, not just of COVID, but have died over the last year, and this grief is locked in the community, is locked
also a jewellery tree draped in precious mementos and items we'd throw away. Greenery springing from grain silos, or how about Goshka Makuga's giant rocket? All the works were submitted pre-pandemic, all now open to the opinion of every Londoner.
If you win, your work is on Trafalgar Square in the middle of London for 2 years, in the midst of conversation, in the midst of comment, sometimes controversy. It's an entirely public process, but that's how it should be.
Londoners can now vote for their favourite in a space said to bring out the art critic in everyone. Sonia Jessup, BBC London.
Now, what is going on with this weather? Let's get the latest from Elizabeth. Hello, anything drier on the horizon, she says?
Hello, well, yes. There is actually, Riz. It's very exciting. It might start to feel a little bit more like May as we head through this week. Now, I know that on the last report we saw that lovely cloudscape and Sonia got caught out by a shower or two. I dare say most of us have through today. But when the sun came out, then of course it felt nice and pleasantly warm and gave us some nice weather watcher pictures as well. This one from Southwark, not too long before the clouds started to build, and Surbiton Sue captured this lovely cumulonimbus cloud. Some really cracking pictures actually from her today. You can see them all on the BBC Weather Watchers website, and another lovely cloud building in Welling as pictured by Kimmy. So as I said, things are set to improve as we head through this week. So fewer showers, it will turn drier and temperatures will start to come back up to the seasonal average as well. So May, here we come. Very exciting. 2 areas of low pressure at the moment. One to the north of us. This one has been giving us all those showers today. It's just swirling around, some lightning and some thunder in all of this. Really heavy downpours too. But it will be gradually moving its way eastwards as we head through this evening and overnight. But having said that, still some more showers to come. Still some of them quite heavy in nature too. But the skies will clear and it's going to feel locally quite chilly again tonight. Temperatures down to around 5 or 6 degrees Celsius. So tomorrow morning then, I think we'll start off with some sunshine, and there will be some cloud milling around as well, particularly for the first half of the day, but also some sunny spells. It looks mostly dry actually through the morning into the first part of the afternoon, but the sunshine again will help to spark off some afternoon showers. However, tomorrow's showers fewer, further between, and they won't be quite as heavy either. So already a big improvement. Top temperatures in the best of the sunshine, 15 or 16 degrees Celsius, 61 in Fahrenheit. Still a noticeable northwesterly wind. Now, I'm going to say this quietly. Messy picture, still quite a lot of uncertainty, but I think we'll all take this. It's looking drier and warmer for the rest of the week.
Thanks for the dry news, Elizabeth. And that's where we leave you. But if you or someone you know is getting hitched this summer, check out our Facebook for all you need to know about the rules surrounding wedding celebrations. From all of us on the team, thanks very much for watching and have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
It's the opening of Sharon's new gym in EastEnders tonight. I've seen the guest list and it's probably not a great idea to have.
It's going to shine bright and you're going to meet so many wonderful people.
Go, go, go!
Boom. This is the best day out ever.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
We're so excited.
Surprise!
We're young, we're in love, we're going to make it happen.
Good times like nowhere else on BBC iPlayer.
Hello you and welcome to Monday Night on BBC One. I'm David with some cracking telly for you this evening, including our new female-led crime drama The Pact at 9. But first, you know exactly what time it is when you hear this theme tune?
Hello and welcome to your show with Alex Jones.
And Jermaine Genus. Now, we are discussing 3 really big topics on the show tonight: homes, holidays and our families.
Holiday sounds nice, doesn't it? Long time away, though, I think. Long time away. We're also talking music, and later we'll have the biggest band on the planet giving us an exclusive interview.
Yes, our very own Ronan Keating will be putting your questions to BTS. And what those 7 boys from South Korea have achieved is off the scale. Their last UK #1 has been viewed over 1 billion times. They've broken incredible records held by artists like Michael Jackson and the Beatles. So if you've never heard of them, well, we can't wait to introduce you to them a bit later.
Also on the show, Tracy Beaker star Dani Harmer speaks out about her body-shaming experience online and meets others who have experienced the same nightmare.
Oh, that is really good, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah.
And we're back on the high seas on board this luxury cruise liner where the bar staff have been given a bit of a shake-up.
Have a look at that, will you?
But you can't say, see, oh, make my favourite. You won't know, will he?
He might. Maybe that's why he's there.
He
You
might.
never know. Well, if he is, that's impressive, let's be honest. And two guests who are perfectly placed to help us navigate all through this is broadcasters Nikki Campbell and Angela Scanlon. Welcome to the show.
Oh,
good to see you. Thank you.
Hello.
How are you both?
Hello, both. How are you?
Nikki, I hear you've had your second vaccine today. How are you feeling? You all right?
Absolutely good. You know, there's a great sense of community and communal feeling and solidarity. They're kind of really happy places, vac centres. Everyone's really up for it. They're fantastic. So I'm feeling great. Feeling really
Well,
good.
very good, very good. Now, Ronan, as we said, is interviewing this big band called BTS later on. We were just wondering, Nikki, you've interviewed tons of people. When have you felt a little bit starstruck or a little bit in awe?
Well, meeting Paul McCartney for the first time, part of you goes, hello, Paul. The interview's going to last about 3 minutes. And inside you're going, it's Paul McCartney. Another one was Keith Richards. I mean, he's just such an interesting and intelligent man. I mean, oh, there he is. It's a nice shirt. And his brain is such a fascinating place. He's not so much K-pop as K-rock. I love K-pop. I've been listening to their stuff all afternoon. Great songs.
Oh, Nikki, see, so conscientious. Does all the research, you see, doesn't
Put
he?
me to shame.
Put his all
What it means, joking. I know they're a big deal.
What about you, Angela?
Probably Joanna Lumley.
Lovely.
Oh my God, she's just incredible. She
Yeah,
told
amazing.
an unbelievable story. Had 300 people and an audience. I interviewed her. She talked about life and gave this analogy about life being like a party. You're in your best gear. You're at a party with your favourite people in the world. It's the best thing you've ever been to. A taxi drives up and is like, Joanna, it's time to go home.
Yeah.
And you think, I didn't order the taxi. And she's like, everyone was literally sitting, waiting on every single word. And she said eventually, she's like, life is a party. You don't know when the taxi is going to come. So, you know, enjoy it while you have it. And she was just
pure
wonderful.
class, isn't she?
Yeah,
Just
amazing.
wonderful, yes.
Yeah.
What about you? You had any? You must have had plenty being in here.
Well, there's been a few.
Yeah.
But I think oh no, I shouldn't say it. Bradley Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
Bradley Cooper? Does your husband Charlie watch this show?
He's doing bath time.
That's why you've chucked it in.
He won't be seeing this.
I'll be clipping it and
What
send
about
it to
you?
him.
Oh, I know.
Who? Go on.
Dolly.
Of course. You saw my face, that's why. I was
Dolly
on the screen
Daydream.
like that.
Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton,
No
yeah.
way.
She's so, it was just so glamorous.
Icon, yeah.
Incredible
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you'd like to join the conversation tonight, then get in touch in the usual ways. The details are on the screen now.
Now, lots of you have been getting in touch. We've had one of our busiest weekends ever on social media. We all know what a powerful and positive tool it can be, but also it can be very brutal.
Yeah, so tonight, actress and star of Tracy Beaker, Dani Harmer, opens up about her experience of being publicly criticised for her weight and meets some young girls who have experienced the same thing.
I can't believe that it's been 9 years since I was paired up with the gorgeous Vincent Simone and got to the Strictly finals. I felt happier and fitter than I'd ever been.
And then I made the mistake of searching my name on social media, and I was gobsmacked at what I found.
There were hundreds of vile messages criticising my weight and my appearance.
At first, I was trying to be really brave about it and just kind of shake it off because, I mean, the comments are ridiculous. I don't know these people, they don't know me, so why should it bother me? But the thing is, it did bother me. It bothered me loads and loads more than I was letting on to other people.
This year, when my new Tracy Beaker TV series came out, I got some nasty comments again. But this time, I felt ready to answer back. We've been in lockdown all year. I ate some chocolate. Get over it.
After speaking out about my own body shaming experiences and the impact it had on me, I heard stories every day of girls and women who'd been targeted online.
So today, I've come to a school in Reading to talk to a group of girls to see what their online experiences are like.
So I don't even know the answer to this myself, but like, why do you post pictures? What are you hoping to get out of it?
We just want to see
good things said about us, really.
So what about when you don't get positive comments and you get negative ones instead? How does that feel?
It stays with you. Yeah, like hundreds of positive comments and that one negative one, and that's just what you're going to think about.
So what else can happen online which makes you feel insecure and self-conscious?
Other people like screenshotting, or like particularly on Snapchat you can like send someone's picture to someone else and then you come into school or something and everyone's picking on it.
I'm shocked, but not surprised by what I've heard. Clearly need to be in the public eye to be on the receiving end of body shaming. I've Hannah, who left mainstream schooling because of the effect it had on her.
I'd gone to music one day and one of my old friends had said, I don't want you to panic, but there's like some things about you on the wall. And there were some like horrible comments about my weight and about me like killing myself because of like the size I was. And they was all like giggling about it, and it was nasty, and you could tell that it was more than one pupil.
My goodness, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. I mean, how did that affect you emotionally and physically?
I was going into my lessons and walking straight back out again because I was sitting with these people. It was tricky. I had no education, and now I'm quite behind.
Chana now attends a specialist school for young people who have experienced difficulty in mainstream education.
I love my school, and I feel like I can be who I actually really am, and it's made me learn to really love myself and love the body I'm in.
For young women like Chana, it's more important than ever that they see positive role models online. Rachel Seeley is a blogger and influencer and a champion of body positivity.
I just want people to feel like they don't have to explain themselves to who they are. Just be whoever it is that you want. We don't all look the same, don't all feel the same.
So what sort of comments do you get? Please say you get loads of positive ones, please. Give me some hope.
I do. When I first started, the comments were horrendous. Like, they were crazy. I was quite, like, you know, really upset about it. Now it's completely gone the opposite way. And for people to say to me, like, you've inspired me to do this, you've helped me do this, it's like, little old me, like me.
I want to know, how did you like get past those negative comments? The negative comments still really hurt me.
I've learned just block it. So if I can control it and say, do you know what, I don't want to hear this today, block. I don't want to see this today, delete. Like, I get to have the power in that.
Yes, thank you. You're giving me the power. The power is in my control. Block, delete, report, ta-ta.
No, yeah, well, I mean, that's the one big thing with me, Al, is with my kids going to school, you know, I think what Danny Harmer's done there is incredible, because it's a big fear of mine, you know, them kind of getting on social media, getting those negative comments and kind of bringing that home and how they're going to feel. I think it's really worrying.
And I mean, I think looking back, you know, it was really difficult when we were in school, let alone now. You know, it is a very scary place, I think, for young girls. What do you make of it?
Well, I think social media is kind of blamed for so much, but if you think back to when we were buying magazines, there was a very narrow ideal of what beauty looked like.
Agreed, yeah.
Whereas now you can, as they said, you can block and mute people that you don't like. You can unfollow people that make you feel awful. And there's a much wider spectrum of people and different looks and different sizes. And yeah, that feels much more inspiring to me.
It does. Emily on Twitter says, Danny Harmer, I love how you were speaking out about trolling and body shaming on the One Show. You were just perfect, Danny.
Yeah.
The way you are.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. For details of organisations which offer advice and support with bullying, please visit BBC Action Line. Details are on the screen now.
Now, the third series, and you know I love it. Your Homemade Perfect, honestly. Now, this, for people who haven't seen it, it's brilliant because it uses this specific technology, virtual reality technology. Explain to everybody then how it works for those that haven't seen it.
So we have a couple of architects. This time, actually, Series 3, bigger. We've got 6 architects.
6? I can't cope.
I know, but 2 per ep, so don't. You're not going to lose your mind.
Fine.
But we choose the architect and we use virtual reality. So it's like photo-real imagery, as you can see here. So people get to essentially stand in their home before they actually do anything.
Because that's the dream, isn't it? It's so difficult spending lots of money on your house and then not really knowing what the end result is going to look like.
That's the thing, is so many people who aren't visual and They're handing over, you know, a lot of cash. In this series, we've got budgets from 20 up to 105k. So it's a massive amount of money for people. And to not know what you're going to get and just like strap in and hope for the best. So it takes away a lot of the risk. And I think people have gone wild. Yeah. Absolutely wild. Because Series 3, they're maybe a bit more trusting. They know that we want them to go bold. They're
and
slightly
they do
daring
always
each other.
Look good. So
they look amazing.
Yeah,
they look amazing.
Well, tonight's episode features a couple from a property in Bromley. It's a semi-detached. They're looking to get a bit more space and a bit more light into the property.
Yeah. So the laughable loo, which the loo is, it was obviously made by a man. You can stand up and wee in the loo, but if you sit down, the door won't close.
Well, that's not ideal. Well, it's all right for me.
Okay, at certain times of the day, maybe. Yeah. But it's not ideal for most people. And they've got a kitchen that's got a very slanty roof, and they can hardly, you know, stand up straight in it. They're a growing family. 2 sons. Ty, the youngest, has been in, you know, the small room, the box room. Yeah. It's the way it goes. He's the youngest. However, he's been growing at a rate, and suddenly the bed is the length of the room, and he's been sleeping in the and it is quite a funny idea. This is safe forever to be in. It's a beautiful house, like a real sense of home, sense of family. And then Steve especially just feels absolutely gutted about poor Ty, you know, scrunching
because with some of the pictures, it looks really nice as it is.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at the moment that architect Julian McIntosh reveals his plans for Shelley and Stephen's home.
Okay, cool. Let's go.
What's going on? Oh my God! What is... Oh my God!
Pretty impressive.
I mean, and that was also a like slightly clipped version. Shelley is like, oh my God, oh my days, oh my God. She lost her mind. And yeah, it's so impressive, that massive double height ceiling. And they really went for it. Like Steve said, we want Miami and Bromley. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think they might have got it.
But if you can't get Miami and Bromley, because it's hugely impressive, do you explain kind of some other ways that you can kind of zhuzh things up a little bit and at a low cost, though? Maybe?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I mean, like I said before, the budgets range massively in this, but, you know, it's really expensive to move home and it's not an option. You might have kids in a certain school, you don't want to move, but you've slightly outgrown your place. So it's not always an option, but there's loads of things that you can do. I mean, people are in rental homes. They can't just knock down a wall on a Saturday.
Precisely,
moving your furniture around has like a mad effect.
You love a sofa move,
don't you? I love a sofa move. Really? Yeah, so we've had, you know, the sofa pointing towards the fire, which feels like nice and cocoony during the winter, and then flip it to the garden.
I think that might feel odd. I don't know, just almost sit down and think...
Honestly, until you get used to it.
Go put your tea down and the coffee table's not there.
But it feels like a different room. It's like a different room when you do it.
Yeah, and you kind of different experience of the house when you kind of like paint as well. Paint a door, paint a little hidden... The inside of a windowsill we see quite a lot painted in different colours. So there's lots of things. I mean, just, you know, go nuts. Nothing is... irreversible.
Well, nothing's wrong, is it?
It's wrong.
You know, life's too short.
And I think we're brave. A lot of people are brave in what they wear and, you know, their style. But when it comes to interiors, they're a little afraid to go for it. So,
well, you know, I'll be watching.
I know. Thank you.
Along with lots of other people now tonight. I'm sure Your Home Made Perfect is on tonight, 8 o'clock on BBC Two.
Now, despite it still being on the amber list, as many as 100,000 Brits are expected to fly to Spain this week as the country opens its doors for the first time this year.
Now, today alone, there's been 30 flights leaving the UK, and when those passengers arrive in Spain, they're not even required to show a negative COVID test. But if a cruise is more your thing, a la Jane McDonald, then it's time to jump on board with Riyad Khalaf as he joins the holidaymakers getting their first taste of travel without straying too far from home.
I'm on the first cruise ship to set sail in the UK since COVID-19 brought these holidays to a halt. This ship would normally take 6,000 passengers, but on this trip there's a much reduced capacity of around 1,000. And there are strict new protocols in place, including compulsory testing, masks for some indoor activities, and social distancing. So, is that compromising the experience?
Even having all the COVID tests, everyone's just giddy, everyone's just smiles all around.
When I heard only 1,000 guests on board. I'm like, wow, that's really good.
Did that make the tickets more expensive?
They were a bit more expensive, but it's worth it.
It's a brand new ship, so it's going to be a really unique experience.
The amount of work they've done to make it safe, I mean, it's just second to none. So we actually feel safer here than going down to the shops, to be fair.
The cruise is only taking in a little bit of the UK south coast, but cruise fanatics Ben and David are delighted to be here anyway.
She's such a beautiful ship and we're very lucky to be on the first cruise.
I was concerned to be very quiet, almost like a ghost ship, but actually there's an atmosphere on board, lots of excitement, lots of fun.
Alistair Burnett is the hotel director. He's been busy making sure these first few days are perfect for the guests.
It's got to be a bit of a career highlight. I've never seen so many happy faces. To be able to come on a ship and relax and do all the things that they did before is just really a special day.
From a full-on water park to a robotic cocktail server, there's plenty to keep us occupied.
Time to unpack the beast.
And to take in the view. But the wind is really picking up.
Do you hear that? Whoa!
With the weather taking a turn for the worse, will that dampen the cruiser spirits?
So I don't think anything was going to ruin this cruise. We've been waiting so long for it, so a bit of wind, no problem.
But a special dance event out in the open has had to move indoors.
We're in the middle of the ocean, things can change all the time. We have to be safe, so we just moved it downstairs.
The bad weather certainly not putting off 3 generations of this family from Wales.
It's my first ever cruise and I was terrified and I'm actually loving it. Like, stuff like this just distracts me from the fact that I'm on the water.
And Grandma's having a ball too.
Being very active 85-year-old, just seeing nobody has been really tough on her. So we thought a cruise would be an ideal way to bring it out of lockdown with a bang.
All that dancing makes for a good night's sleep. It's a bit sunnier in the morning, but I'm quite surprised to find out where we are.
We're supposed to leave Southampton and head straight to Portland, but instead they decided to bring us south all the way to the coast of France, where we sort of sheltered overnight from the wind. But now we're making our way to Portland, where we're going to dock.
And the passengers really don't seem to mind. We're not somewhere more exotic like the Med or the Caribbean.
How has the weather affected you and your crew?
We had to look at locations within the ship where we could have events to make sure that we're not going to put any pressure on anyone to be in a confined space with too many people. We want to make sure that nobody notices, but we're kind of moving people around the ship for activities so that we give them enough space to keep them safe.
You can see the delight in every single crew member. We're so happy for them as well. It's amazing.
Time for me to leave my fellow guests behind, but it's been fascinating to see how cruises can adjust in the current world. This cruise was about so much more than a privileged trip on a luxury ship.
It shows just how adaptable we are to change.
Something we're all learning as the world opens up again after COVID.
Well, it is nice, isn't it, to see people having a nice time and smiling.
I agree. Everything in one place. Water park, cinema, restaurant,
Although that
your
outdoor
bed.
pool looked a bit chilly in this weather, I'll be honest. Anyway, still to come, the interview that threatens to break our social media, with so many of you getting in touch with us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Find out what happened when Ronan met boy band sensations BTS a bit later. Apparently, we are trending because of them on Twitter. And Tanya on Twitter says, I'm so happy that my teenage favourite band member, Ronan Keating, is interviewing my midlife favourite best band and biggest group in the world, BTS.
And Hiba on Twitter says that this is a double treat for me, both BTS and Ronan Keating in the same video.
I think Ronan will be so chuffed to be in the same bracket.
Yeah, I think he will be. Yeah,
Really?
he'll be absolutely delighted.
I feel like they're
won't
generational. Yeah, amazing.
he?
Cool.
He'll be delighted. Well, let's welcome back Nikki Campbell. Nikki, listen, viewers of Long Lost Family will understand just how an emotional watch that can be. But this new series is about abandoned babies. And can you just tell us a little bit about it?
Well, as you say, we've discussed this before, and Long Lost Family is just an extraordinary thing to be involved with. Long Lost Family, Born Without Trace. We saw tonight's episode, my wife and I, we watched it the other night, and we've barely recovered. It's one of the most powerful piece of television I think I've seen, because if you think about, you know, long lost family, if you're adopted, and we help people in that situation, there's a paper trail. You would given to somebody else. Foundlings were given to nobody. They have no idea where they came from. Their life is a void, an absolute void, and that's that horrible word, abandoned. And if you're left, you know, you think what you're left with for the rest of your life. So it's just amazing with the new technology and with the brilliant detective work of Ariel Bruce, who heads our team, to be involved with this. And I know Davina and I think exactly the same thing. It's just an astonishing thing. I mean, helping people so much, and it's existential for them. It's changing their lives.
No, I totally agree. I mean, but you know, people may think, Nicky, this is like a thing of the past. Now, you mentioned foundlings being the word. I mean, obviously, it is, you know, abandoned babies. And this is, you know, a picture of George, who was left in a park in Birmingham only last month. I mean, a beautiful baby. Last month. That's really scary to me, Nicky, and actually really worrying that it's still happening today.
Yeah, gosh, it's gorgeous, isn't it? It is absolutely heartbreaking, and it does go on and it carries on because people are in terrible circumstances. And the one thing we try not to be is judgmental in any way. In this series, actually, I meet two birth fathers. It came as a huge surprise that they had children, but they were really brave to face up and to talk to us. And in tonight's episode, Helen, and it's like the case you said there, that wonderful, beautiful little boy. Helen was a few hours old and she was left in a box outside a hospital. And in the same small town, Victoria, just a few hundred yards away, was left in a box outside a supermarket. Both what they call left to be found, so that they were dressed up warmly, but all the same. And what we do is we did lots and lots of detective work, and we found another foundling. We found a foundling in another town, and I won't tell people what happens, but it is one of the most extraordinary meetings I've ever seen. And I just hope that little boy manages to find that resolution in his life, because everybody deserves to know who they are and where they came from, and not to have that. I mean, adopted people have a sense of rejection, but to be rejected to the extent that you're just left, it must, you know, to be able to end that pain for people is an amazing thing to be a part of.
Well,
sorry, I'm wabbling on a bit here.
No, it's all right. Let's go back to Helen, who you just spoke about. And this is her as an adult talking about being left and abandoned as a child. Here it is.
To baby Jill, an orphan. It's my little hospital tag. Jill Scarsdale. Jill for the nurse, Gillian, who looked after me. And Scarsdale was for Scarsdale Hospital. And there's a photo of me with the 3 nurses that looked after me. Sister Daphne Lewis, Nurse Susan Pearson, and that's Jill, who they called me after. As a foundling, you have to have these. It means a lot, even though he was abandoned, left. His memories to be able to look back on.
It's an incredibly powerful watch, Nicky, but you know, with somebody like Helen, how do you manage their ends? Because, you know, naturally in like this, there might be a good few closed doors where the people on the other end don't really want to, you know, they don't want the relationship, they don't want to meet that person.
Yeah, it's for obvious reasons. There's a lot of shame involved. We try and, you know, we don't take that on board. There's nothing to be afraid of, ashamed of. These things happen in all our lives. We all have complicated lives. It's beautiful when she meets the nurses there. It's wonderful. But you're right, and it is difficult. But the thing is, so many people are putting DNA onto these databases now. We've got a fantastic team, and they take the DNA of the person who's come to us, and they go onto the database, and they can find a match. Ariel Bruce and the team of you know, a third cousin or something like that. And that's when the detective work takes over. And maybe they might get a situation whereby a birth mother, because of what happens, doesn't want to, certainly on camera, meet them. Very often it does happen off camera, maybe doesn't want to meet them at all. But there's a world of possibilities, because there's siblings and half siblings. And that is a treasure trove. That is gold dust for people who before that have had nothing.
Nikki, thank you so much. We look forward to it. It's tonight. It starts at 9 p.m. on ITV and continues Tuesday and this week. You will need some tissues.
Yeah, I will indeed. We've had plenty of messages flying in. We've been talking about it all day. But the moment has arrived. All day, our social media team have been posting about BTS, the South Korean boy band who have taken the pop world by storm.
Now, the boys agreed to give just one UK interview. Naturally, they came to us.
In case you haven't heard of BTS, I can tell you that they are officially the biggest band in the world right now. Since their debut in 2013, the 7-member boy band from Seoul in South Korea have gone on to dominate the charts globally. They made history, becoming the first Korean act to hit the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 charts with their song Dynamite. And having 5 #1 albums in the US. They've won countless awards and have been nominated for a Grammy and a Brit. Through their rigorous dance routines and avant-garde style, they've earned an army of devoted fans.
We are part of BTS UK Army.
BTS are amazing because of their compassion, their positivity and their poetic lyrics.
I love BTS so much because they bring the world together through their music.
They write and produce their own music.
Their music truly transcends languages.
They promote inclusiveness of all backgrounds.
Their music bangs.
They're the best boy band in the world.
In a UK exclusive for the One Show, I'm talking to BTS about their new single Butter and giving One Show viewers a chance to ask the guys some all-important questions, some of which they're answering in Korean.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Here we are! BTS! Hi Ronan, hi One Show, thanks for having us.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. You've got brand new music. The new single is called Butter.
Smooth like butter, like a criminal undercover.
Came out on Friday, so tell me about it.
There's no kind of like a heavy message. It's just a summer dance pop track. We just want to make people feel happy, smile, and dance like the lyrics, like smooth like butter. So we try to include our charms inside the songs, and it has some very nice dance moves, and hope they try to copy it, and it's gonna be fun.
BTS's style. How would you explain it to somebody?
BTS는 이제 아무래도 처음에는 이제 힙합 음악을 좋아하는 친구들이 모여가지고 팀을 시작했지만 저희가 여러 해를 거치면서 이런 음악 저런 음악 다양한 장르들을 해보면서 지금에야 이제 딱 맞는 옷을 입었다라고 생각이 됩니다. 그러니까 이게 뭐 언어든 음악이든 뭐 장르든 이 구분 없이.
You have an army of fans, but the word army for BTS means something in particular. Can you explain?
You know, it's kind of like a whole team. Like we're in the same team, and we try to make each other happy. We charge each other batteries, and actually now I think Army stands more kind of like a team, like a crew.
Well, from your UK Army, we have some questions. Are you ready?
If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh. Fish and chips.
Fish and chips.
Steak. Steak.
Oh, that's my favorite. Steak and chips.
What is your favorite song to perform live?
Actually, we've never performed on Dynamite and also Butter in front of people. So it's because it's been like a year and a half. So maybe, I think maybe Dynamite and Butter would be our next favorite if we could perform in front of the people.
What do you guys do when you feel a little bit homesick?
한식을 많이 먹죠.
한국 음식점 같이.
Yeah.
한국 음식.
Eat kimchi fried rice.
My question for you lot is, what is a memory that you are going to be holding in your heart for the rest of your life?
웸블리에서 공연했던
웸블리.
What are some funny habits that you've picked up from the other members?
음식 좀 빨리 먹는 거.
늦은 뺏겨요.
That's the problem. There's a big ban.
Hi BTS, I was just wondering after this really hard year that everyone's had, how have you guys, taken care of your mental health?
운동. 좀 뛰고 열 내고 땀 많이 흘리니까 되게 기분이 좋아지고 잠도 잘 자고 했던 것 같아요.
저도 최근에 이제 운동하는데 되게 이게 스트레스 좀 많이 날아가더라고요. 참 좋은 것 같습니다.
Well, BTS, thank you so much from everybody on the One Show. Thank you.
Thank you, One Show. Thank you.
Bye.
Sleep well.
Thank you. Good night. What more do you want?
I'm in.
Unbelievable.
Into it.
Yeah, that song is brilliant.
It's.
Isn't it? That dynamite.
There we go.
Dynamite.
Yeah, there we go. It's dynamite.
We worked it in clumsily.
We got it in there in the end. We'd love to know what you thought. So check out our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook to continue the conversation. Now, we've had loads of comments on tonight's show. G on Twitter says, great piece on body shaming. It's unfortunate that people have no idea the harm that they can cause, especially when you're a child, and the long-term effect it can have.
Absolutely. Lydia on Twitter says, love Danny Harmer's film on the One Show about body positivity. Thank you so much for speaking out.
Yeah, and on Long Lost Family, Stuart on Twitter says, Nikki and Davina's passion for Long Lost Family definitely makes it one of the best TV shows, and I can't wait for the new series.
Oh, gosh, every episode is brilliant. And Chloe on Twitter says, cannot believe BTS are on the One Show. Neither can we. It's blown all our minds.
He did all right in the end, Ronan, didn't he? He kind of he did well with the BTS boys.
Yeah, well, see, I mean, he is Boyzone royalty.
There we
isn't
go.
he?
There we go.
Well, that is it for tonight. Thanks to both our guests, to Angela and to Nikki. We'll be back tomorrow with radio DJ Annie Mac and Strictly's Anton Dubek and Giovanni Pernice.
Now, don't forget EastEnders is on at 8:05 p.m. and tonight things get out of control at Sharon's gym launch and Kira pushes Zach too far.
See you tomorrow.
See you later.
Sharon's got a gym.
Dr. Chris Van Tulleken investigates the food we're feeding our children.
It might change your brain from...
Really? If it can to my 42-year-old brain, what is it doing?